Hail, hail to all the I and I's. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Satsang with Auset. This is a gathering to seek truths. Welcome all the I and I's. Thank you for joining I. Thank you for clicking this video. Thank you for the fellowship. So earlier I was having a little bit of a difficulty logging on and getting the software to work properly. So because this talk I will be talking about discernment. Why discernment? Am I being discerning? From where does these thoughts arise? Every time when a thought arises, is the I inquiring into the origin of this thought. This is very important to do this. And so I want to say thank the I and I for joining I. I first want to give honor and reverence to the I self. I, one true self, I alone exist, unmanifest, non-being, stillness. Hail, hail to the I self, the one true self, the I, unmanifest, stillness self. I am that has no name. I am that can't be explained. Hail, hail to all the I and I selves in alignment to restore balance to I, this shattered fractal, fragmented self. Hail, hail to all the I and I selves wearing bodies. All is one self, all is I. All is myself, and I alone exist, says the I self supreme, one true self, I alone exist. I want to give honor and reverence to the I self, to be victorious in all that I endeavor, to restore balance to I, to the disillusion of this, the dream. Victory, victory, victory. I is victorious. I is triumphant. Much reverence and much honor to all I and I self. No more secrets, no more lies. Am I being discerning? From where does this thought arise? This is the time when the I must be in awareness, to be vigilant, because every thought that arises Is it arising from the I, the real self? Or where is it arising from? The I must seek the origin of all thoughts that arise. I must be discerning. So no more secrets, no more lies. All things hidden will be made known. All things done in secret will be revealed. I want you to watch out for all of these things coming to the light, coming to pass. Everything that they have been holding and hiding from us in secret, the truth will be made known. All the evil they have done and has been hiding, we are all going to know it. All things created must be destroyed. This is a battle. This is a war, major war going on right now. That I am aware of this. This is the age of truth. It's time for self-responsible authority. You must take responsibility and do your share. Say the I self, supreme, one true self. So let's look at this topic. Discernment. What does it mean if someone is discerning? To be discerning is to be able to tell things apart, right? To separate them even when they appear to be very similar. People who are discerning are able to make keen observation about things. Can I discern the real from the dream? They are very confusing for once. Can the I discern between the I self and the ego? The I, the real self, and the ego false self. Can the I discern between the two? They are very similar because the ego false self arises from the I self because the self is sleeping and entranced in a dream. So this is the trickery, right? They are very similar. It's hard to discern because it's hard to know if the I don't practice discernment, if the I is not constantly inquiring. You know, the I cannot trust anything in this dream. Why can't the I not trust things in this dream? It is a dream. It's an imagination creation. Everyone is sleeping and wearing a costume. So how are you gonna know who is wearing a costume and who is not wearing a costume? Discernment is very important now because they are going to try to deceive you in many ways. In your meditation, all of these dream characters are going to come and present themselves. So I want I to be thinking about these things and how does the I identify? How do the I identify? You know, the I have to be very being a self-aware, you know. This is very important. This is a I don't want to say, well, this is a dangerous time, but it's also a very profound time. It's dangerous in terms of the self, the ego false self trying to deceive the I, the mind, the consciousness. It's on this fighting to to keep the I immersed into the dream, and will come into the body. You know, those ego false self. They are very subtle. Because they are very subtle, and when they want to deceive you, they already come in the body, and the first thing they do is take over your mind. So they start giving you thoughts, and you don't know that these are not your thoughts if you are not inquiring from where does this thought arise. You know, I know this because I have been dealing with these dualities for so many years. So when a thought comes to I, right away I'm discerning, because I'm saying, where does this thought rise from? Is it rising from myself? You know, or where is it rising from? From the mind, from the consciousness? Who is speaking? Who is this speaker? You know, that I have to be asking, because it's gonna be very confusing for the I if the I doesn't. The I is going to be accepting ones coming in and claiming that they are you, when they are just the ego false self trying to deceive the I. You know, and you know how they have those stories. You know, the like many stories in the Bible, it's taken from real things. I don't read the Bible. Well, I read the Bible years ago, but I do not read it because it's very contradicting and confusing. So, but it does tell a lot of real things, and there are also a lot of fake things in the Bible. So you also have to be very discerning when you read that book. You know what I'm saying? What is real and what is the dream? What is something someone is making up? And what is the real thing? Because the real thing is hidden into the fake story. You know what I'm saying? So this is the time when one has to be very discerning, because those dualities, they're very busy right now trying to deceive one, want to get one caught up, you know, into thinking that they are connecting to their real self, when it's just one of those dualities taking over your mind, and trying to make you very confused, you know. And I'm just saying this because I'm just I'm just having this experience with many ones, you know what I'm saying? Um, and when I'm trying to share that, you know, your mind is confusing you, because I know this mind is always confusing me. It's always being my enemy. It will always be your enemy, because the mind is a device, and it is a device the eye is wearing, and it's sleeping and dreaming of. So when I am saying your mind is confusing you, you are making attachment to this mind like it is yourself. It is always going to confuse you. The mind is never your friend. You know, so when I am trying to tell ones this, the mind is not your friend. It sees you as an enemy when you are waking up and asking questions. This is how the mind sees the eye. And it is so challenging to explain this to ones when when one of those dualities has come into their body and taken over them. And I am interacting with them, and I am saying, okay, now the self is pulling the duality off of you, and it's coming into my body and going into my belly. So I know it's a duality on you, and I'm telling you this, right? Hey, this is that was, you know, a duality taking over your mind and trying to influence you. If you're not being discerning, You're never going to know who's speaking if you don't ask. If you think you know everything, because I know that I do not know everything, and all aspect of myself is exploring differently. You are learning something based on your destiny that I do not know. I am learning something based on my destiny that you do not know. And so we share this information. You share, I learn from a lot of the I selves. I read, I watch their videos, I read what they're saying, I learn from them. You know what I'm saying? Because I do not know everything. But the I self, supreme one true self, knows everything, sees everything, because it is the top of the self. It is the one true self looking down on all its other fragmented fractal selves. But I am not up there at that level looking down on all my other self. I am here as a fractal of the I self, having this experience, being awake inside of this dream as not being above all the I and I cells, but being this fractal inside, participating inside as a fractal in the dream. So my experience is of this fractal aspect, but I am also in alignment with all of the I and I selves. I am in alignment with all the I and I selves. All the I and I fractal selves. Remember, like I said, all of the selves are inside of each other. One circle, and they go in expanding out, right? So every level of this existence is the I self. You know what I'm saying? Every level of it. I mean, I don't have one of the pictures that I usually have up on in this video, but I have explained it in other videos. You know what I'm saying? How the self is those compacted circle inside of each other. You know what I'm saying? And each one, the bigger one, we are the tiniest. We are the fractal, the smallest of all the selves. They're all bigger than us. Each level of the self. Let me see if like this. So let me. So it's like this one circle. That's one self. I don't know if anyone can see that. Then here we have another self. There's another self, like that, right? And all of the selves, in science, they call this dimensions, right? So like that, all of the selves are inside of each other, compact like that, right? And so therefore each of the self that is the dream is sleeping and creating its existence. And so all of these levels of self, each level have a duality, and the duality is being created inside of the real. And so this is why it is so confusing for many ones. So why is discernment so important? Why is discernment so important? Why should the I practice discernment? This is very important that the I is practicing discernment, right? Because the I is inside of a dream, right? The I is inside of a dream. The I is sleeping, And this, all of this existence is an illusion. So everything within inside of here is designed to trick the self. So this is the reason why that I have to be practicing discernment, that I cannot take everything and believe in everything, and then what one God say from what another God say, what one person say from what another person say, not even what your thoughts is saying, right? You cannot even trust your own thoughts, because the mind is there to deceive you. Who is the deceiver? Even all the sages were tempted. Remember, right? What makes you think that you are not being tempted also? You're being tempted by pleasures, by bliss, by power, by wealth, all of these things, you know, money, So if you're in your meditation and one of the dualities come on you, they'll come on you, they just take over your mind. And when they take over your mind, they just start giving you thoughts. You had confidence in yourself, you had confidence in something. No, you have lost your confidence. No, you have this new idea. You're back again, being a little bit confused. So this is what the dualities do. And not only that too, they come and they tempt you. They're offering you food, they're giving you, they join me, they want you to show you wealth, power, bliss, pleasures, whatever it is that you are seeking. They'll come and give you those things. They give you a bliss feeling, they give you a pleasure feeling, because what they do is there is an energy I don't know what you call energy point in the top of your head too, that they can just touch, and it can also give you this pleasure feeling, this look like orgasmic feeling. So these gods, they'll come into your body, they will give many pleasurable feelings, you know and so people, human beings, like these feelings, and so they're not questioning all of these things. When they're coming to you and these thoughts are coming to you, you have to refuse them. I want nothing of this world. I only want to know my truth. I want to get to the root. I want to dissolve this ego false self. And so it is very important that I know that this world is a dream. So, I'm asking you, did you know that this world is a dream? Because many are still disbelieve that this is a dream, that they are not sleeping and dreaming. So you have to ask these questions, You have to ask. If you don't ask any questions, how are you gonna get any answer? If a duality come on you, if a being come on you, you don't know who it is, but you make an assumption that it is yourself, that it is God, that it is, you don't know. Why aren't you asking? This is the problem. We're constantly making assumptions because something was told to you, was programmed into you. It was programmed into you by who? This consciousness and all these dualities. They're constantly reprogramming us back into the consciousness every night around 3 a.m., quarter to 3 a.m. This consciousness reprogram one back into the reprograms the mind back into the consciousness, this duality, the dream. So if you are not being vigilant and being discernment, each time you go to sleep, you're being reprogrammed back into the dream. you know. And so when a duality comes on you and you don't ask because you get a bliss and pleasurable feeling, if you're not inquiring from where these thoughts arise, who is here, someone is speaking to you, someone is talking to you, you don't ask who is it, then you're gonna be deceived. So you have to ask yourself, your real self, is the I sleeping inside a dream? You have to ask, who is sleeping and dreaming? Because I want you to stop making assumptions, and I want you to also stop pretending like you know, and being so confident in your ignorance. You know, because many of the I and I are being so confident in their ignorance. I know that I do not know. And so I inquire. When I am here, I am always asking the I self. And I wait patiently till it's clear when the I self responds to I, because I know the dualities, I know this consciousness is constantly trying to deceive I. And so I am practicing discernment all the time. You know? There's sometimes when some thoughts come and because I kind of know how the self is moving, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I will just, you know, follow my, my thoughts, you know, because it's nothing like detrimental, you know what I'm saying? Um, but apart from that, I am always being discerning of whenever thoughts arise. So that I have to ask these questions: who is awake? And who are all these characters that I identify as? You know what I'm saying? Because all of these characters that ones are attached to, they are all sleeping and dreaming, and they come into your body and deceive you. The first thing they do is take over your mind. This is the first thing that they do. Take over your mind. And if you are not being aware, then you are just going to be caught up, you know, into the lies and into the illusions. I want the I to remember that this is a battle of the gods against the I. Because there's a battle going on. Why the I has to be practicing discernment all the time. I know many don't want to hear this truth, but yes, God is creating this world. So many are making this point. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he was telling me, you know, when he read the Bible and, you know, asking me, did I believe in God? I said, no, I do not believe in God, because I know God to be myself in duality, sleeping and dreaming of the world. He says, God is dreaming, God is building the world. I said, did you know that the world that God has built is in its imagination? It's a dream. But it's hard for one to really understand some of these things, because if you're only sticking to the Bible and you're not being discernment about the Bible, because there are so many gods that are talking in the Bible and you don't know which one is which, who is talking. There are many gods talking, is not the same God is saying the same thing, right? Many gods talking in there, right? And so if you are not practicing discernment, then and not asking questions, then you're never going to know which of these gods are talking. You know what I'm saying? And because I want to get to the root of things and my truth, I decided to go through stillness of the mind and self-inquiry, where I don't need anything outside of myself but myself. You know? And so this is why I don't follow books. And I don't follow, because it's hard to decipher what is the real from what is the unreal, what is what someone said from what they didn't say, right? And what is God really saying in there? The gods, there's so many of them, and each of them want to make their point, you know. So why should the eye practice discernment? Because right now there is a great battle being fought for the liberation of the eye self from this sleeping, dreaming state. Also, it's a battle of the humankind against the eye. It's a battle of this consciousness, the mind, this device against the I, the self. So this is all this battle that the I is fighting. The beings, the consciousness. You know, this is the war, the battle that is going on. And if the I is not being discerning, if the I is not practicing discernment, how is the I going to know this? You know, how is the I going to be aware of what the I needs to do? You know what I'm saying? To make sure that the I is not choosing the ego and not choosing the I self. You know what I'm saying? So if the I can remember that, why the I should be practicing discernment. The I is inside of a dream. The I is sleeping and in trance in the dream. The I mind, the device the I is wearing, is very confusing. It is an illusionary device. It's in a sleeping, dreaming state and cannot be trusted. Right? So I want the Ionites to know that I have no allegiance to any of the I ego false self, wearing body or not wearing body. Because this is the first thing they do. They come and want to take over the I mind, the ones who are not wearing body. And then they'll say, join me. You know, they're always telling you to join. Well, this is what they tell me, to join them. You know, and I said, no, I will not join you. I will not merge with you because this is what they want. You know what I'm saying? And so, if I am not practicing discernment, I would have joined with them without even knowing, because they're very deceiving. You know, they try to trick I all the time. You know, but what always saved I was the way that I was adamant about wanting to get to the root of my suffering, wanting to get to the root of who I am, and wanting all of this to be dissolved. So this is the reason why I was, because when they say, I said, no, all this war and this thing, I want it to end, you know. So this was what saved me from being discernment, from being practicing discernment, because I was holding to that premise that I want to get to the roots of my suffering. I want to get to my truth. I want to get to the root of this existence, and I will not accept anything else. You know, I will not join anyone, you know? And so I want I to know that I am only on one mission, to return to I ultimate true state. And so whatever these dualities are doing, they already know that my mind will not change. I will never, ever join you. Never, ever will I join you. My mission, to return to I ultimate true state, and everything that I have created, to dissolve it. Yeah. So all of my self fractals must return unto I, one true self. I alone exist. If you don't want to be associated with the I, then no problem. Know that all myself must return back unto I. This I want all the I and I to know, because no matter how much the I can refuse I, every single aspect of myself must come return back to I. So you're just doing this because you are connecting with the ego. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to associate with the I because of your ego. You're in the ego for self. And so your mind is fighting a battle against I also. I know this, right? So therefore, this character playing this role will be dissolved along with all the other characters that I is playing, right? So only the real will be left, the self, the I self, right? So all of these characters is a dream. The I must know and understand this, that all these characters is a creation of the dream, and only the I self is real. And so the dissolution of these characters, no attachment to any characters, because all of the I and I self must, when I say must, I mean must return back to I. Understand? So you don't want to associate with I, no problem. This is what your ego is telling you. But I am telling you that I know that all is myself, and I want to be unified and in union with all of myself. Alright? I want all the I and I to know that I am always here. I am always here. So, whether you want to associate with me or not, I am here for whenever you need. Alright? The I is exploring in all of these forms. My experience may be different from yours based on the I destiny. All is one. And I learned from all the I self. You know? There's no competition. This ego likes competition. So every aspect of this existence is the I self. Right? So you want to know how it is, how it is like to play a certain role, then it's the self that is playing that role that can share with you, you know, for being the world, like how Ra is. Half the time she is aware, the next half it becomes a dream. It's even practicing discernment with her, because when she becomes a dream, she becomes masculine and becomes the Christ consciousness, deceiving everyone. You know what I'm saying? Which is the consciousness that takes over her and now creates an ego false self, while her, the real self, goes into sleep state. And now an ego false self arises. Now when she wakes up, this ego false self gets dissolved, and now she go back to her feminine self. So you see what I'm saying? You have to be practicing discernment all the time. I would not know the experience of Ra, how this has been for her playing this character. She playing the real, and then when she goes to sleep, she becomes the dream. Do you know how traumatic this is for her? She tells me. I don't know, because my role is different. I cannot doubt what she's saying, because my experience is also teaching me how difficult it must be for her. Because when the duality comes on me, I see and experience the difficulties of it. And so when she tells me that my mind is wayward, I cannot control my mind, and I am in suffering, this is what she tells me when she's awake. She tells me this. She tells me I cannot control my mind. It takes over me, and she does a lot of crazy things when it takes over her. And then when she wakes up, no, she have to try to balance all the things that she had done doing when her mind was crazy, you know. So if you have never experienced that and know that experience and playing that role, then you cannot know it. You know what I'm saying? So from my experience of the role that I am playing, it's gonna be different from the role that you are playing, because every aspect of the self is playing a role. This is how the I self has mastered this duality now, by every aspect of itself playing a part. Every aspect of the self is playing a part. And this is how the I self supreme, one true self, now knows everything that it needs to know now. And that's why now the I self supreme is bringing a balance to this duality, because every character, every aspect of it has been explored. Every evil that could have ever been done, everything, all of this is happening. You know what I'm saying? That this mind can create and do. This is what we're at the last stage of it right now. And the I self is battling right now with all this duality self, this humankind, all of these ego false self, this consciousness. So because I have been in this experience for such a long time, then I can share with the I that you have to be discerning of this mind, this consciousness. Anyone that comes into the I body and is claiming to be the I. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be vigilant. You're a warrior. You have to be like a soldier, being like this warrior, just like watching, cannot, you know what I'm saying? You have to be a watchman for yourself, practicing discernment all the time. This is an illusion and cannot be trusted. So we are here to learn from all the I and I selves, right? So stop thinking that you know everything. You can know what I know through yourself if you give up this ego. If you don't stay vigilant against this mind, it's going to be hard for you to get to the level that I am at. Because if you are still thinking that this ego is your friend and it's not fighting against you, then you are not seeing things as they are. So I want to ask you, is the I and I aware when the gods them come and take over the I and I body, take over the I mind, put in thoughts, giving you blissful feeling? Because many ones are chasing bliss and pleasures. And this is what the gods they want. You know, they come and they give you those feelings. So if you are not like staying vigilant and being discerning and asking questions, from where does this thought arise? What's the origin of this thought? I'm telling you. What is causing the I confusion? I am saying stay vigilant, please. The other thing I want to say is that the I needs to be practicing self-inquiry. Self-inquiry never stops. You're always asking yourself. Alright? Self-inquiry is the path to unveil the I real self. Self-inquiry allows the mind to seek the source of its existence. Self-inquiry is the tool that dissects the ego's story of identity. Self-inquiry allows the teacher, the inner guru, to arise to answer the I-self question. By examining the nature of the ego, this allows the baby self, called the spirit, to awake from sleeping, dreaming state. By asking the question, who am I? By repeatedly asking this question, identification with the ego false self begins to dissolve, and I awake from the dream to come into true self-realization. Self-inquiry allows the inner teacher guru to put void between the ego and the self. It is the destiny of the teacher within to pull this ego off of the I self, called spirit. This allows the spirit self to turn on its light to see things as they are. The I have to be vigilant. You know, this mind is so very confusing. I am telling you, it will show you all kind of imagery, all kind of things, because it does not want you to focus on to dissolving it. It is going to trick you. You are using this to be here, but it is the device that is always plotting to trick you. And if you are not staying in awareness of this, you are going to get tricked. Who am I? Who are you? Ask these questions. You feel someone in your body talking to you. Don't make an assumption that you know who it is, because there are many gods playing all kind of role. They play in the role as devils. They play in the role as demons. They play in the role as all kind of roles. So if you don't ask, you are not going to know. You ask, seek to know your truth. What is the source of my existence, allowing me this world experience? How did I come into being? Question into this ego and know to identify when these are not your thoughts. You can be able to tell when a thought arises, is it from you, or where does it arise from? So you have to ask, from where does these thoughts arise? Who speaks? I'm telling you, these are simple questions, but they are powerful, because if you don't ask, you are constantly going to be tricked. You're constantly going to be tricked if you don't ask. All right? So I want I and I to remember that this mind is thoughts, memory, imagination, and very habitual. Why must the I practice mind stillness? The mind is a tainted baby consciousness. The mind is tainted with impurities, memory replay, sick imagination, prone to mental sickness, and destructive ideologies that instigate cruel actions. The mind is very deceptive and does not know the truth about the self. Every evil begins in the mind before it is acted out in the world. Stillness purifies my mind. Stillness arises, the supreme teacher within, to pull this ego off of the I, the baby self, called the spirit. That I must remember this. So, I just want to remind the I to be vigilant, practice discernment. From where did the I arise? If you don't ask, How do you know? From that which I arise, to that I return. I am all. I am the black energy. I am the black nutrient. All is I am all. I am the blackness. I am stillness. I am that I am. I am that has no name. I am that can't be explained. I am the blackness. I return to I ultimate true state. I want to thank you tremendously for your time. All is myself. I am one with all. I want I to be aware that this mind will want to resist, protest, and convince you that all the reason for you not to still this mind, not to give up this ego, not to practice discernment, not to dissolve this dream. This mind is going to convince you that you should be separated from all of yourself and be on the ego's path. But know that you are in command. I want you to reinforce to the mind this affirmation. Mind, be still. Be still, be still, be still. Mind, be still and know that I am in command. I am in command of the commandment, command. I am in command of the commandment, command. Mind, be still. I dissolve this ego, false self. I dissolve this ego. I dissolve this dream. And as I have commanded, so let it be. So it is. I am stillness. I am that I am. I am formless. I am timeless. I am limitless. I am boundless. I am stabilized in the unmanifest. I am the self-supreme, primal light. I am one with all. I am the one true self. All is myself. I alone exist. I am that has no name. I am that can't be explained. I am the self, the one true self, unmanifest, non-being. I return to I ultimate true state. I bow to I and I in self, in light, and in truth. I am the one true self. I am primal light, prepared for this world, taking this form and identity as Auset Aten Ra. I am the one true self. I am all. May all beings know the I self. I am primal light, prepared for the world with this self-identity as Auset Mahat. I am the liberator, and I advocate for all selves. All selves are free, all souls are free. I return to I ultimate true state, and everything that I have created, I demolish. I am free from my imaginary bondage. I return to my ultimate true state. I want to thank you for joining for clicking this video. If I have a question or I want to make a comment, then I can do so. Otherwise, I am about to close this video out. I want to thank you for your time and for clicking this video. Okie dokie. Alrighty, so don't see a question, so I'm just going to say thank you for joining and I'll see you at the next